Welcome to BattleTech in the Morning with Captain Nips. I'm Captain Nips, and today is another day of stompy robot action. I'm gonna pick up where I left off yesterday after that surprising and completely thorough drubbing that I took at the hands of a General Lance that was using Evasion. Now today,
Welcome, Commander.
I'm going to flip the sides around, and I'm going to take the evasive move part of the equation here and leave the Bulwark part to the enemy team. And mostly to test to see if yesterday's utter just face rubbing of a loss was something I did, or if it really is something where the benefits of Bulwark on light mechs are just too small to be bothered with in the face of evasive move. So, we've got it set up. I have set both lances up exactly as with yesterday, flipped them, so I have all of the evasive pilots, and they have all the Bulwark pilots, and Ozone plays both sides because he goes both ways. Today we'll be back on Death Valley during the Sunset Desert mood. Let's get started.
Commencing deployment. Mech warriors, prepare for combat. Command interface initiated.
Now, since
My canine notes a distinct lack of vegetation here.
I have the evasive
I hear ya.
lance,
No
I am
sweat.
just gonna run this group right up the gut, get right into the face of my intended targets. Take advantage of the road here for what I believe is additional movement.
Got it.
If this doesn't crack sensors, I don't know what will. There we go, right on the edge.
Standing by.
Everybody hup hup.
Confirm.
What's the plan? My sensors detect a new adversary.
Well, that's slightly unfortunate. I was hoping that their lead element would not sprint into view and thus turn this into an evasive move on evasive move match, but here we are. Let's see if... I'm curious to see if the AI even bothers with the Bulwark in this match.
Certainly.
Also, firing into this mineral field is like probably the worst idea. Yep, Paradise, you literally missed with everything. That was impressive.
My sensors detect a new adversary.
Yeah. Roger. All weapons, fire.
There we go. Blockade showing how it's done, landing a few early hits here.
Confirm. Roger that, Commander.
I'd kind of like to run the whole team up this ramp on the left and then across the ridge here, but it's really narrow, so I actually can't get up the ramp at this point with the rear elements of my lance, which is a little bit unfortunate. All right. Got a laser in there, a few missiles. Continue to chip away at this lead Jenner's movement modifiers.
There's a hole in my armor.
No, there isn't. No, there is not. Paradise, you're
Waiting on you, Commander.
so bad at things sometimes. Oh, let's see. Go low. Go over here. Yeah, I guess this is what I'll have to do. Just go here.
I read you, Commander. Moving out. Firing everything I've got. Watch the sides. Watch the sides.
Alright, well, so much for static positions.
What do you need?
Awaiting orders.
This video has suddenly turned and become a Wolfpack video and not a
Coordinates confirmed.
real good test of pilot skills and abilities.
Target acquired and locked in.
But I guess, you know, you work with the hand you're dealt. On the plus side, that means that the AI, at the very least, is playing smart enough to know to keep its light mechs on the move, which I have lamented at times in the past that it is very bad at.
You got it.
So we got that going for us. Occasional flashes of brilliance from our computer opponent here.
That hit something good.
They really like that mineral field, I suppose. I mean, if it's only giving yourself +2 difficulty, +2, so it's like +10, -10% to hit, but -20% to hit from everything firing at you. I mean, the net is good for you, I suppose, but I don't know, just not a huge fan of giving up that kind of 2-hit numbers. Speaking of 2-hit numbers,
Copy that.
I'm going to 2-hit this guy right in the back again and again and again, even through the
Targeting
obstruction.
for an alpha strike. Tango down.
Sucks to be that guy. Wow, melee? So soon? So much salt. We'll have to fix that.
Good to go.
Yeah, it's not great. My back is pointing up the hill here, but I get a chance to fix that next turn.
All weapons are go.
Wow, got a
Another hit like that and you're toast.
weapon destroyed on the blow through crit. I don't know that I've seen that. I don't know if I've seen that much. Sometimes you see a weapon crit, the weapon sticks around, but it's not often you actually put the 2 requisite crits on it to destroy it in one shot. Showboat, since you're here. Trying to keep moving here. That seems alright. Oh, but that gets into the side. So it is worth pointing out that it was noted in the comments of my last video. The evasive move gives you 1 additional pip of movement modifier when it triggers. So you'll notice, as I'm moving Showboat here, 1 space, no modifier. 2 spaces, no modifier. 3 spaces, it immediately jumps up to 2 modifiers. So that extra modifier is coming from evasive move. And I did confirm this with the manual, which means that evasive move was nerfed even harder than I thought and had recalled, which is a shame, but at the same time completely understandable because it was kind of ridiculous before. And if the enemy team was showing off any Bulwark at all, maybe we could get a feel for this. But I guess yesterday's video is going to have to stand as here's what it looks like when you pit Bulwark versus evasive move on light mech lances against each other. Even though most of the movement modifier penalties being generated in that video were coming from just the normal movement of the Jenner. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, Commander. Moving out.
Is he really going to climb up the wall there? Alrighty then. Did not think you could do that. Running hot. Might have to take a turn. You know what? No, that's not gonna. Yeah, we'll just fire 3 lasers.
The target is confirmed.
And Paradise will again miss with all the lasers, but it did knock one of the movement modifiers off.
What do you need? Position confirmed.
AI really likes these mineral fields. Keeps finding places to hide in them.
My heat sinks can't take much more of this.
Lost track and stopped paying attention. Doing a good job over here.
I'm rolling.
We will not do that on Ozone. We will not make that mistake twice. Although, apparently Ozone has a ton of extra heat scale to work with. How's your guts? Good guts. That's why. Alright.
I got you.
Lasers away. Few hits. Still good.
Keep an eye on my heat, Commander.
Again with the salt. Oh, right to the leg.
That shot went internal.
Turns out. And of course I get no option to move because we're immediately standing next to each other face to face. That's unfortunate. I think what I'll do is simply sprint out of the way.
Understood. Moving fast.
Hide behind a somewhat not tall enough rock. Cause some collateral damage. And because that was a sprint, it did not bleed any heat. I really hate that. I'm so used to, Jesus. I'm so used to tabletop rules where the difference between a walk and a run is literally a single point of heat and therefore generally negligible. But in this game, if you sprint, your heat scale is not reduced in that same way. Speaking of heat scales,
Acknowledge, Commander.
these Jenners want to turn this into a match of fisticuffs. I think we can oblige.
Good to go. On my way.
Showboat knows what's what. Oh, Showboat! Honey, you're usually so good at that.
Reporting. Move order received.
Oh, headshot! Paradise finding his true calling as a battering ram. Focusing on Showboat. You could have shot Ozone in the back, but no. I suppose she had no movement modifier. Alright.
What do you need?
Blockade, if you'd be so kind as to come out from hiding and...
On it.
I don't know. Maybe point your guns at this guy. Feeling a little lackadaisical about all this, since he got no recovery from the heat scale on that last turn. Yeah, screw it. We're not going to shut down, but I'm definitely not going to.
Take this.
And of course, it bulwarked. Go figure. The one time I get behind it, and it's bulwarked.
Critical hit.
So any science we could have conducted there,
I'm generating a lot of heat.
kind of offset by the fact that Blockade took a walking tour, a sprinting tour of the map.
Yup.
So since we're here, and we have some science to conduct, let's try and conduct some science. Turn this around here. It's going to be from
Commander.
the left side of this now damaged Jenner.
10-4.
With full guarded.
Waiting for orders. Moving to position.
Showboat's only got half her guns to work with. Less than half her guns because she's missing SRM ammo now.
Got it. Awaiting orders. I understand.
So I didn't kill the Jenner outright in that turn. I think it's probably worth considering, even though yesterday's video went so astonishingly bad, maybe there's something to be said for having Bulwark on a light mech for those occasional rare instances where you do need to stop. Because sometimes positioning doesn't work out for you, and you do need to kind of set your feet for one reason or another. This is, wow, this is an atrociously, you know, I'm just, never mind. Bleed eat. And are you gonna actually fire your guns? Please tell me you're actually gonna fire your guns. There we go. Woo! Woo!
I've been wounded.
Wow!
I'm hit.
Taking a beating. So on those few rare occasions where you do need to have one of your light mechs stop in place for whatever reason,
Ready to rock.
you know, I wouldn't necessarily suggest leaning on Bulwark like I tried to in yesterday's video.
I'm there.
Because clearly, light mechs of this caliber, of this kind of level of armor protection, can't take multiple rounds of sustained fire. But if you need to plant your feet for a turn before you shift positions the following,
Commander?
maybe there is some merit in bringing Bulwark with you to give you that turn to just kind of not immediately explode from enemy fire. I don't know necessarily that I would go out of my way to get up, Paradise, to like set that up. It's weird, right? Like, so imagining the campaign game for a moment, where everything is a scarce resource. Mechs are a scarce resource. Pilots are a scarce resource, and pilots with skills, with particular skills, doubly so, right? Like, I can't expect... This is a stupid shot. I'm doing it anyway. Kind of just talking over firing guns. I think it might be hard to expect that once you get into the campaign, especially in the early to mid game of the campaign, that you would be able to stack an entire lance with a quartet of Bulwark skill pilots. I'm guessing that that sort of thing will be too scarce to expect.
Move into position.
The pilot skills are reasonably strong just to begin with. So, say you're recruiting from, a mercenary hall or whatever, however you get your mech warriors in the campaign.
That wasn't good.
I very easily see, like, here are your options. Here's a bunch of green pilots that have relatively low numbers, no skills, no abilities. Some regulars with some better numbers, and then maybe some vets and elites that have better numbers plus some mech warrior abilities. But then those pilots, of course, as befits their stature, would be more expensive to hire on.
Confirmed.
Which,
Reporting.
expense is a real thing, and in the campaign, if resources are too tight, I should go after this guy down here. I should continue the science. Continue working science over here. Get him. That's a good spot. Turn my arc
Yes,
a little bit.
Commander.
Early to mid game, C-bills are tight. Probably won't have much to... Jeez. Spare so that you can pick up pilots with too many abilities. And so the likelihood that early to mid game that you have a stack of pilots all with Bulwark, probably less likely. And so you would want to put those pilots into your mediums and up anyway to begin with, because that's where they're going to get the most bang for their buck.
Yup.
Speaking of bang, let's bang into this guy.
Affirmative.
Get in there, showboat. Yeah, there you go.
What are your orders, Skipper?
So I think at least in early to mid game campaign, as I'm projecting a little bit here, of course, look for pilots that have abilities, because clearly the pilot abilities are good to have. In a vacuum, you would rather have, in a vacuum, you would, with pilots of equal skill, you would want the ones with abilities than not. When you have pilots that are maybe lower skilled and have an ability, maybe there's a question there to mull over a bit.
Engaging target. No love on on that strike. My heat gauge is getting pretty high.
Legged. Well, at least he didn't die to headshot.
Battle mech. Down.
I couldn't tell, Blockade. I really couldn't.
Yep.
Good to go. Coordinates received.
Speaking of headshots,
Enemy down.
we'll use that to replace the legs on my Jenner.
Yeah.
Let's see. Back down the way here. Let's just get this match over with.
I'm there.
Roll down the hill. I want to check to see what kind of heat scale I'm working with. Probably overheating. Yep, that's straight into shutdown. That's overheat though, so that is worth some focus.
Oh, hell yeah. It's on now.
So let's just burn this guy to the ground. Woo! Ozone. Coming in hot with those lasers.
Mission
Watch my heat.
successful.
So not exactly the experiment I was hoping to see, because the enemy AI didn't really want to use Bulwark at every opportunity, especially early, which is kind of where I wanted to see it. But it did use it at the end, and it was using it to kind of protect its two mechs here, which marginally helped. It definitely helped on that one shot, kind of here in the middle. That one turn where Blockade came in from behind, which clearly the shots from behind weren't stopped in any way, but the other mech's worth of fire to front and sides of this Jenner that eventually ran away definitely helped it weather that turn and all of that weapon fire that hit it. So again, I think there may be merit in having Bulwark on your light pilots, but again, I feel like if Bulwark stays the way it is now, you're definitely going to get more mileage out of it on mediums and heavier things with more armor than you would light mechs. So for that light mech pilots, it's probably just a nicety. Do you take it over evasive move? One extra pip of movement modifier versus standing still. See, and that's the thing, right? Like, in my mind, if you're in a light mech, you're commanding light mechs, you want to be commanding them to move as much as possible every turn to get their maximum movement modifier, because that's the thing that's going to keep the light mechs safe. Bulwark for a turn maybe is okay, but if you're spending most of the match running around, Bulwark as a skill is not being leveraged. So I don't think that's really where you want to put those pilots. And again, like I said, medium mechs, heavy mechs, assault mechs, grab a pilot with Bulwark, throw it in there, plant your feet, because you're probably planting your feet anyway in most scenarios until the light mechs try to skitter around behind. You know, you get much more bang for your buck out of the heavier chassis with Bulwark than you would on the light mechs. But it could, if you were inundated with pilots with Bulwark, it could prove a useful skill in a turn, maybe two, in the course of a fight for your light mechs. But I think in my mind at least the question's been pretty settled. Put your Bulwark pilots in the heavy mechs. 10 rounds, 24 minutes, 31 seconds. Not a lot to write home about in this match. Paradise gets his legs sheared off. That's okay. We head capped one of theirs. Oh, Mockingbird. Sorry. We have to pull another clone out of the tank there. Oh, that's right. Rear chord him real hard. So. But that'll be all for today's BattleTech in the morning. Relatively short video today. As we move on, continue with life. I am your scientist in the lab, Captain Nips, trying to conduct the sweet science of giant robots. Wishing you a wonderful day, morning, afternoon, evening, and night. And I will see all of you in the next video.